Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hopefully, you're enjoying your Saturday. Doing a very special prop gun edition on the Gunzpicks channel right now. Basically, going to give you some prop plays that I like, additional from the extra points for that matter. And I want to kind of show you how the bread's made, give you a little bit of a teaching element here, and give you my thoughts and breakdown of what I perceive, what the outcome of this game is going to be from a total perspective, even from a side perspective. But I wanted to come out here, talk to you guys. And if you're watching now, you're watching live, like and subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on this video if you're enjoying the content here. It's going to be a little bit different element than what I've done in the past. I kind of want to make this a little bit of more of a teaching element of handicapping. Priya Desai said, "You the man, Guns. Appreciate your takes. I appreciate you, man, my man. Hit the like button." But I'm gonna kind of just give you my vision of what I perceive the game is going to be. I want to talk a little bit about the props. I have a lot of stuff I want to share with everybody, but there was so much that I have to share. I couldn't do it in on a show with 3 other people. I felt like this is something that I want to try, I want to do, and if it's successful, I will continue to do this moving forward. But just to talk about this game, I kind of want to show you a spreadsheet that I've created right here. So what you're seeing in front of you right now is how I set up, especially like when there's not a lot of games on the board in the NFL. We only have one game that we have to be tracking on this one, and what this is basically how I view and look at games as far as props are concerned. So what you're seeing here on this is basically every guy that is active from a betting prop perspective in the receiving. So I took 3 random books. I took FanDuel, MGM, and DK DraftKings as an example, just kind of show you where the lines are. This is about as current as it gets. And then I show the line moves here. And why I do this is surely on the fact that I want to understand what the books are perceiving is going to happen in the game. So what I want to show you here is, so you're looking at these receiving props, you're seeing the line moves, and you notice that there's only a couple of instances where the line dipped down. Travis Kelce, obviously going to dip down because he's one of the most public props on the in this game, including Saquon Barkley. And then you see the same thing with Hollywood Brown. You see DeAndre Hopkins props went down. That's a significant sharp move right there. They don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a key target in this game. Noah Gray just went down a little bit. And then the season averages here. So I like to look at the line here, which is the opening line. You see the current lines here. And then you see the season averages from these guys in the receiving market. And then you got to look at the delta. I always like to look at 4 game samples too, because I want to understand if they're playing better or they're playing worse than their season average. And in this case with Travis Kelce, he's been playing a lot better in the last 4 games than his season average. And then you look at AJ Brown, 74.9 receiving yards on average, 39 in his last 4 games. And that's basically on the sheer fact that he didn't do well in the first 2 playoff games. He didn't do well in the last game in week 18. Obviously, Jalen Hurts was not the quarterback in that game. And but you saw him start to kind of creep up and be a big target in the last game against Washington. So the books basically did something right here and kind of made this line close to his season average. If you see over here, his season differential from the current prop line is 5.4 yards below his season average. If you were paying attention to a lot of the AJ Brown props prior to that, his number was not close to this. They were giving him some very low numbers. And what I perceive this to be, and this is going to be one of my first prop plays, is that AJ Brown potentially could have a big game in this situation. You're also seeing the uptick in his line. The line moved 1.3 yards, but look at that low last 4 games, 39 yards. So the differential is 30.5 yards above his last 4 games. I think the books are telling you a story here, and I think A.J. Brown may be looking at a big game. And if you don't think he's going to have a big game, look at his receptions. You can go down here, last 4 games, 1.5 possession receptions above his last 4 game differential. Right? So it's set at 4.5. I'm seeing books getting it up to 5.5 in a lot of cases, which is 0.7 of a line move from the open on average. And you're seeing this uptick in his receptions too. So I think what the books are trying to tell you is, look, there's going to be a heavy passing game here from the Philadelphia offense, which we really haven't seen all year, knowing that they're a running team. So we may be seeing a little bit more balance, a little bit of shift more to the passing than the running. And I think A.J. Brown could have himself a big game on this one. And that's the first prop that I'm going to give out right now. I'm going to take A.J. Brown over his receiving yards. I got it at 69.5, I believe. Let me double check on that one. Yeah, 69.5. So I think when we look at this one, we have to pay attention, be cognizant of A.J. Brown being a key weapon in this offense. And another key point on this one is how the media has basically said that, like, he's been a non-factor in a lot of these games, and he's reading books on the sideline, he's trying to get his mind right and all this other stuff. So they're trying to delude the public perception of who A.J. Brown can be in a game. Everybody thinking that he's not even a prime target. Everybody talking about Kelsey. Everybody talking about Saquon Barkley. No one's paying attention to A.J. Brown. And don't forget that A.J. Brown has been a pivotal production weapon in the passing game since he's been with Philly, going back to when he was at the Tennessee Titans. I think we're going to be looking at A.J. Brown in a lot of key situations. And I also like the value of him to get an anytime touchdown. You can get it at plus 180 right now. I saw that on FanDuel. That is something that we can look at. And if you look at the last Super Bowl when he played against Kansas City in 2022, he did have a touchdown in that game. He had like 96 receiving yards, 7 catches, something like that. So don't sleep on A.J. Brown props. I think that's probably the way to attack it. I want to talk about some of the bigger ones. Travis Kelsey. I won't take the over or the under on his receiving, whatever. He had 2 catches, 18 yards against Buffalo in the AFC Championship. He's still Travis Kelsey. He's still a guy that Pat Mahomes is going to look to if the game is close or in a crunch time situation. That's going to be his crutch. I wouldn't take his overs either, because I just think they're just heavily publicized. I mean, it just seems like a bet that, like, it's too good to be true. It probably is type of situation, but like, I'm perplexed about the numbers here. It's like you see the line dip down to 2.5, and then you're seeing the season differential. It's 7 yards above his season average, but it's 2 yards below his last 4 games. I do not want to take this prop at all. And I'm seeing Archimedes in the building, of course, a member of my Discord. He said G-Town. Hell yeah, man. That was a great cash for us today in college basketball. Doing decent in college basketball right now. I'm a little bit mad and ticked off on the Oklahoma pick, but I digress. We keep moving it forward. But like I said, I'm going to be staying away from a lot of these publicized props, but I want to talk about, like, let's look at the vision of what the books perceive the game, right? So you see the receiving props. I told you, like, a lot of uptick in the line movement from the opener. It's like you don't see a lot of negative red in here. But when you look at the rushing prop, look at these red. You're seeing the lines start to dip on Saquon Barkley's rushing yards, Kareem Hunt's rushing yards, Jalen Hurts rushing yards. Everybody's rushing is getting dipped down. And then you see the season average over here, right? Look at that season average, just minus 19.3 below his season average. Kareem Hunt, 13.2 yards below his season average, 16.2 for Isaac Pacheco. And then the rushing attempts are down as well. So what that tells me basically is the books perceive this being a more pass-oriented game. So there is an opportunity to attack the market on unders in the rushing props and then the overs in the passing props. I'm not saying you take every single one, but I see the perception of this game. But and then take that a step further and look at it from the full game perspective. This tells me if it's going to be, if the books perceive this more of a pass oriented game, that's over territory, right? Because passing stops the clock on the incomplete passes. Passing is big play type of situations. We're talking about 7 to 10 on average, maybe even more in a pass. And that cultivates into scoring. That turns into points and not a lot of clock moving, not running the clock, which is unorthodox from what you've seen from Philly in all over the season. That's what they love to do. They love to run the ball. But the props are telling you, you will be surprised in this game that you'll see more of a passing. And I think when you're playing a top 10 rush defense in KC, granted, last 4 games, they haven't played like the best rush defense. I think there's going to be a lot of passing in this game. And and that kind of shows here when we're looking at the quarterback situation, right? So you're looking at Pat Mahomes, you're looking at Jalen Hurts. You see their passing attempts, and you see the average here. Of course, Jalen Hurts averaging 20, I think 23 to 25. I don't know if that's an accurate average, but I think it's between 23 and 25. Last 5 games, he's got 25.3. That is 2.5 passing attempts above his season average and 2.2 pass attempts above his last 4 games. I think we're looking at some heavy passing on this one, especially from Jalen Hurts. And granted, the same thing goes for Pat Mahomes. I don't like that number at 36.5. I think that's a very large pass attempt number, but significantly, even though he averages about 35. So I guess that's pretty sharp and pretty close, but it's a little bit of an uptick from his season average. And he's only thrown for 32.5 in his last 4. So in one sense, it makes sense. One element, it does make sense that he's probably going to be passing the ball a lot. But I think Jalen Hurts is the one we got to be taking care of. It's like when you look at him during versus top 10 rush defenses, Jalen Hurts passes for 30 plus attempts in most of those situations. I think 4 out of the 6 when he got to play top 10 rush defenses this year. So Jalen Hurts props is more appealing to me as far as the passing yards and the passing attempts on him. And that kind of predicates all into the over because, like I said, you're seeing a huge dip in the rushing props, but you're seeing an uptick in the passing props. So that is kind of my perception on that. But I wanted to just kind of show you guys a little bit how the bread's made. That's kind of what I was going at that. And let's get into some more picks here. And then we'll just close it out. So the first prop I told you about, I like AJ Brown over on his receiving yards, 69.5. And like I said, the one key point on this one, KC 26 in DVOA versus the primary receiver. And then you got to look at the last 2 primary receivers that has faced the KC defense. Shakur had 7 targets, 6 catches, and 46 receiving yards. That I believe that did go over on his receiving. And then Nico Collins, when he faced them in the I guess not the divisional round, 8 targets, 5 catches, 81 receiving yards. So there is an opportunity to take AJ Brown props and take that a little bit of a step further. AJ Brown props, anytime touchdown, you're going to get plus 180. I kind of like that too. I think there's going to, if you're going to be looking at a pass oriented game here from the Eagles, I think you're going to be looking at AJ Brown. If somebody's going to catch a passing touchdown, it's probably going to be someone like Dallas Goedert, or it's going to be AJ Brown. But AJ Brown, if he gets in one-on-one situations versus his KC defense, he is going to catch the ball in one-on-one situations. And believe me, if it gets to that point, like if they're inside the 10 and AJ Brown is going to be a target in that passing goal line type of situation. So AJ Brown, anytime touchdown, I like a plus 180, 185, depending on what book you're getting at. And if you want to take a quick stab at this one, if you think that AJ Brown is going to have a big game, which I do, he's 35-1 to win the MVP. Now, wide receivers winning the MVP is very rare. I can't remember the last one that won it. I want to say Julian Edelman, maybe. I have to look a little bit faster. But usually it goes to the quarterbacks. I understand that. But, I mean, just taking a quick pizza money stab at A.J. Brown on the MVP, especially if he gets 90 to 100 receiving yards and a touchdown or two, that is a very good prop. And, of course, Philly has to win the game. But I kind of like the 35-1 on A.J. Brown. I think people are just overlooking an exceptional talent there with A.J. Brown. Going back to the rushing props, like I said, I think the rushing props are dipping very heavily right now. And this is why I'm taking advantage of this one particular prop. Isaac Pacheco under on his rush receiving on this one. You can get it at 30.5. I think it's pretty much collective on the board, depending on what juice you get it at. But you're going against Philly defense that's ranked 6th in offensive rush attempts, opponent offensive rush attempts, and 8th in opponent rush yards per game, and 11th in opposing rush yards per play. They're going against a Philly defense that is ranked 5th in defensive DVOA, defending the running back in the pass game. So what that tells you is they don't give up a lot of yards receiving to running backs in this one. 8th fewest in the league for that matter. And that secondary for the Philadelphia Eagles, I just believe that they're going to take away a lot of the short passing elements out of the KC defense. Now, when you look at the KC's offense, they've been more utilizing Kareem Hunt as of late. It's about 75 to 25%. Pacheco pretty much getting like 25% of the looks, plays, and touches. Look at his last like 2 games, right? Buffalo, he only had 5 carries, 12 rushing yards, 2 catches, 12 receiving yards. And then against Houston, he only had 5 carries for 18 rushing yards and had 0 catches in that game. So I think looking at the Pacheco prop on this one, his rush is 5.6 receiving yards below his season average, and his rushing yard prop is 16.2 rushing yards below his season average. So this is a guy that is regressing. They're just not utilizing him as much in the offense now, knowing that Kareem Hunt is kind of the hot hand in that receiver core. So I think Isaac Pacheco under his rush receiving is a good play there. So I'm going to take it officially here right on the prop gun. Isaac Pacheco under 30.5 rush receiving as the prop play. All right, so take a breath. I appreciate everybody that has liked to subscribe to the Gunzpicks channel. Just continue to do so, especially on this video. If you like the information that is coming out there, get in the comment section. Tell me you love the analysis on this one. I'm trying to do a little bit more teaching of how I look at handicapping and how I envision some of these plays, especially when you have that time. Like I had 2 weeks to go and that to give a full analysis of the Super Bowl. So I have a good perception of what I believe the game is going to be. And it kind of reflects heavily when you look at the prop market as hard as I do. It kind of helps to look at the side and the total as well, because it seems like the book's perception is a high scoring game. And let's hope that happens. We'll see what goes on. But for the prop plays here officially on the show, AJ Brown over 69.5 receiving yards, Isaac Pacheco under 30.5 rush receiving. Those are the 2 plays that I'm going to be taking here officially on the show. But that's going to do it here for the prop gun. I am Gunzpicks. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the ball. And as always, let's keep dancing. Ba-bang.